Oh.
Guildmaster Bane then announces that the preparations are now complete. With mixed feelings of fear and exhilaration, you step into the center of the pentagram and stare resolutely into the inky black heart of the Dacian portal. The hypnotic chanting of the Brotherhood magicians rise in tempo, and you feel gusts of icy wind play upon your face. Then the elders of the High Council lend their voices to the sonorous chant, and suddenly the chill wind becomes a howling gale. Crackling arcs of energy leap from the edge of the pentagram and disappear into the core of the portal. Above the deafening roar, you hear Lord Remor shouting an ancient phrase of power, and in one breathtaking instant, you are pulled off your feet and sucked into the whirling maw of the Shadowgate. Do you wish to use...
we are not.
What?
Currents cannot grab us.
Do you wish to use Grand Hunt Mastery?
Yeah.
Yes.
As you tumble and sprint through the void of the Shadowgate, you struggle to keep your eyes focused upon a tiny mote of light which glimmers from the dark immeasurable distance. You sense that your passage through the astral corridor is being guided by the concerted will of the council gathered at the entrance to the portal. Using their psychic power, they are attempting to steer your body through a maze of channels which will lead towards the remote speck of light. Seeing this, you draw upon your improved Kai discipline and use it to aid the magician's effort. By doing so, you are able to stabilize yourself and reduce the terrible fatigue of your journey.
This is why in these magic universes it would be so much better if they had jetpacks.
Everything would be better with jetpacks.
And grappling hooks.
Yeah, right. Grappling hooks! Sorry, grappling hooks, jetpacks and AK-47s. That would be awesome.
But you have a magic glowing sword instead.
Yeah.
Gradually, the
Rana really wants to sink it deep into someone.
I want to kill stuff with it, yes.
Gradually, the distant speck grows larger until, with a sudden violent surge, you pass through its white-hot core and feel yourself engulfed by a damp and fetid atmosphere. Moments later, your journey ends abruptly when you splash feet first into a swampy morass. Despite the speed of your impact, your natural balance and agility prevents you from plunging beneath the surface of the stinking swamp into which you have fallen.
Of course it does.
After wiping away the slime that has splashed your face, you cast your gaze out across an unlovely vista of steaming mud pools, fringed with dark jungle vegetation. A clawing aura of evil permeates every part of this vile landscape, leaving you in no doubt that you have successfully arrived at your destination, the Plane of Darkness. You look up and scour the corpse-green skies, but dense clouds of acidic vapor hides all traces of the Shadowgate through which you've entered this place.
And apparently it was so scary that Cobra even gasped.
Actually, that was just a burp.
I know,
I'm not really sure.
I know.
Corpse green. So the sky is green.
Yep. Corpse green.
I got a question. Is the grass blue? Because if that's the case, I think we accidentally ended up on Namek.
Is Namek in the Plane of Darkness?
I don't know.
But isn't the sky green and the grass blue there?
Well, that is true. But you are in a swamp right now, and
You sent me to... You're trying me in the wrong franchise!
Well, the vegetation around here is dark, not blue, but I guess that could just be someplace on Namek. I guess we'll find out.
I'm not sure. Namek has like 3 suns. It never gets dark. Unless, of course, you summon a dragon. Well, but yeah, let's continue.
If that's the case, they're actually wishing to remove everyone from Namek right now. So in a moment, we're gonna crash back on Earth.
But you're not from Earth, you're from Magnamund.
Yeah.
In any case, feeling suddenly vulnerable, standing waist deep in steaming swamp mud, you decide to wade through the gluey sludge towards a nearby mound of barren grey earth. Once out of the mire, you rest on your haunches and consult the Tome of Darkness given to you by Lord Remor. Its metallic pages appear to be as blank as when you first flick through them, but then you turn to one page that is now very different. Colored designs have appeared surrounded by a ragged text which radiates a flickering spectrum of lights. Using your Magdakai disciplines of pathmanship, you are able to decipher much of this arcane writing. The text tells of a creature called Nzapok, Lord of the Mire, and of his throne of power, which is located upon an islet at the mouth of the River of Flies.
Well, first of all, bless you, because that sounds like something you say when you sneeze.
If
Also...
the Lord of the Mire hangs out on the Plane of the Flies, does that mean he's Lord of the Flies?
No, River of Flies.
Not River of Flies.
But yeah, secondly, for all our holy battle powers, I really wish we could actually learn how to levitate or, summon giant angel wings at this point.
I would rather learn how to summon cheeseburgers.
It
Why
describes
would
the
I
many vile deeds he has perpetrated for the cause of evil, for which he has been greatly rewarded by Nor. The Dark God has granted him his own domain within the Plane of Darkness. It goes on to list the names of the creatures that are enslaved to him, but most interestingly, it tells of a secret named Kula, which can be used to bind him, and of an amulet which he possessed that will enable one to leave his territory. You study the text for some time and conclude that this swamp must be part of Nzapok's realm. Ah, I see. The Tome of Darkness is really a walkthrough.
Neat.
Maybe if we just read it, we will somehow reach the end of this adventure.
Maybe.
The page of the tomes.
Wait. What do we need to defeat him?
Okay, there's a secret name, Kula, and he has an amulet. You need.
Huh. I think that name sounds a little too much like the Danish word for balls.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that, but I could not bring myself to it. But yeah.
Now that I've done it, you feel so much better.
It reminds me of the Kula world.
What?
No, none of you know that game.
Not
No.
really.
It's where you're a beach ball rolling around on giant flying Egyptian stones trying to collect fruit.
That's an odd concept, but
It was a
yeah.
cool game.
Yeah, I just think it's an odd concept.
Well, it's not clear that.
When I hear the name Kula, I just think of Frieza's brother.
And we're back in Dragon Ball Z.
In any case,
Indeed.
the pages of the tome seem to hold the key to the hierarchy of the Plane of Darkness and contain information that is needed to move from one domain to another. Unfortunately, not all of the book appears legible at any one time. You close the tome and slip it back into your pack. Your natural instincts tell you that the Moonstone is not to be found here in this swampland, and in view of what you have discovered, you decide that you must escape from here as soon as possible. However, if you are to have to do so successfully, you will first have to... Sorry, I just skipped a line here. First have to find Nzapok, the ruler of this domain, and take the amulet which he possesses. Suddenly your sixth sense warns you that the seemingly empty swamp harbors hidden enemies. They are distant, but they are drawn closer with every passing minute. You get to your feet and look for the best route away from this mound, but only two ways offer any promise. To the south you see a shattered causeway of moldering grey stones, and to the east you catch sight of a shallow ridge that barely breaks the surface of the swamp. Do you wish to explore the causeway or the ridge? And you can think about it while I go get some water, because my throat is drying up.
So the ridge of the causeway. I vote for the causeway.
What do you say, Giovanni? I mean, either one sounds fine to me.
Yeah, so let's just do as Rana said.
Alright, I'm back.
Exactly.
That was the causeway I suggested.
Right, the causeway it is. The causeway comprises a procession of cracked grey blocks of stone which cross this fetid land and trails away towards a tangle of jungle vegetation that stretches across the horizon. In places the mouldering pavement disappears completely beneath the surface, swallowed by the swamp, yet the encroaching mud is shallow and it does not hamper your progress too greatly. On either side of this swamp road you notice an occasional spur of rock protruding through the mire. Then you see the apex of a stone roof and a broken spire. And suddenly you realize that they are segments of buildings. They are all that remain visible of an ancient city which has long since drowned beneath the swamp. The causeway is not a road at all. It is the remnant of the city's fortified wall. The cloudy green sky begins to darken and you sense a storm approaching. Minutes later, a gentle rain begins to fall, which turns the surface of the swamp a milky shade of blue.
Wait, blue milk?
A milky shade of blue.
Yeah. Milky?
Milky. You raise the hood of your cloak and press on, but suddenly you notice that your clothes are giving off wisps of smoke where they have been spattered by the rain. The rain is not water. It is a corrosive acid.
Oh, damn.
Your Magnified Discipline of Nexus protects your flesh from the effects of this acidic rain, but your clothing and equipment are vulnerable to its effect. So that means you're at risk of becoming naked.
Right!
Just what we damn well needed.
Rather than risk losing them, you look around for some place to shelter from the coming storm. The only cover you're able to discern is a large mound of fallen stone slabs several hundred yards away to your right. Do you wish to use grand pathmanship?
Yep.
Sure.
Yes.
You sense there's something alive in a hollow beneath the crisscross of fallen slabs. Cautiously you advance towards this rough shelter, using your camouflage and tracking skills to move silently through the sticky knee-deep mire. When you reach the stones and peer down into the hollow, you see a host of winged insects swarming around a large pear-shaped hive. Glinting scarlet-tipped stingers protrude like small knives from their tails, leaving you in no doubt that these insects could prove deadly if provoked. Do you wish to avoid the nest of winged insects and seek shelter from the storm somewhere else, or to try to drive them from the hollow?
I think we should try and find somewhere else. There can be no good trying to drive them out. Also, I get the feeling they're sort of immune to whatever kind of poison rains down from the clouds. So I say move onwards.
Okay.
Sure.
Rana takes the lead.
You retreat from the pile of stones and hurry back to the causeway where you follow the course of a sunken wall for nearly a mile before it sinks without trace into the swamp. Fortunately, you discover a chain of knolls and dry earth marks by which you're able to continue your trek without falling foul of the swamp's treacherous pools. For more than an hour, you make your way deeper into this wholesome morass, yet you encounter no further signs of animal or insect life. A strange quietness overhangs this part of the swamp, an eerie calm which seems to accentuate the aura of evil that is radiating from every mount and murky pool. Progress is slow, and an hour passes before you discover another possible place to shelter. It is a tight clump of stunted, thorn-studded trees, which stand upon a knoll several hundred yards ahead. You set off towards it, anxious to get under cover, even though the rain has already damaged your clothing and equipment. Your cloak is in tatters, and your backpack is full of holes. Briefly, you stop to repair your backpack and discover that 3 of the items contained within have been ruined. So yes, well, I guess that is the logical consequences of wandering around in an acid storm, rather than fighting some overgrown bees.
So Rana takes the lead and lose 3 items.
Yep.
Fucking brilliant. And I have no excuse. I made a dummy.
Well, it's not like it's your fault. The 2 others were all just like, sure, let's go out in the acid storm. I'm sure Rana knows what he's doing.
Also, it's not that bad. Everyone makes a dummy every once in a while.
But look on the bright side, all of you. You made a dummy, but you did it together. And isn't that the important part?
Yeah, that's the point of teamwork. Share victory, share defeat.
Yep.
I know. Also, the 3 items that were destroyed, any specifics or...
Nope, you just choose 3.